say for instance, like you're on a pathway here and they're still right here. And so now you're trying to crawl backwards to pull them back up. And it's like an endless cycle because every time you get ahead, all they do is go backwards because it's kind of like it's like a loose string. You got to go right back, pull them right back up to you, just because you feel like you feel obligated to keep them there. And so now you move forward again, but then you got to come all the way back because they went revert right back. You got to come all the way back, bring them back to where you're at, so that you're getting them farther, but they're not keeping that. So you're bringing them with you, yes, but then it's kind of like they're quitting every time.
Say my name, say my name. If you ain't running, say my name, say my name. What is that?
Fuck a politician, come ride with the boss in the backseat. A lot on my mind, I don't wanna think. She come relax me. Diving at the water, breaststroke. Tell me your thoughts, peep show. Knowing the mission, don't stop. Respectfully, told she better say my name.
What's up, family? This is another episode of Growth Talk Podcast, episode 14 to be exact, with my co-host James. And man, we got another episode for you guys. And we're super excited to talk about it because we think it'll add value to people. And maybe you're able to relate to where we're at with it. But it has to do with standards. And before we get into that, as always, if something resonates with you, hit that like button, hit that share button, just to spread that impact. So yeah, let's get into the episode. So we were just talking about this before we started, but the pros and cons of holding yourself to a high standard. I feel like personally that it's important. I'm a type of person that no matter where I'm at, whether it's my business, my family, my job, I'm going to push myself to my full potential. My manager, for example, doesn't have to stay on top of me because I know that, because the standard that I hold myself to, right? And but what I realize is that everybody don't hold themselves to that same standard. And sometimes you expect people to do that, and it can be frustrating, especially if I guess you can say the repercussions aren't reciprocated. Like if this person is lacking or not giving, like what James was saying earlier, not giving the best effort, but they still getting the same reward. Like that can hinder the rest of the people on the team, and it can get frustrating because especially if you're having to carry their load, right? And they just doing whatever they want to do. Yeah, they doing whatever they want to do. Like, and you showing up to work every day busting your ass. You know what I'm saying? It can get real frustrating and even at times maybe even draining. So I'm just big on, just holding yourself to a high standard. And I know the con of that, like I was telling James, is sometimes we can push ourselves too hard to where now, okay, we're beating ourselves up, we're being our own worst critic. But I think it's a balance. It's a balance knowing that, okay, I'm not perfect. Okay, and I can only do what's in my control, but also, again, I can do what's in my control. And if I'm not giving my best effort, then I feel like I'm not serving myself well. You get what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people go off your work. And yeah, so those are my thoughts right now. But James, I'm gonna let you chime in. And
well, back to kind of go off of that, it's just basically it'll demoralize you in person, because when you see it happen over and over and over, you basically kind of like, okay, if he's doing that certain thing or she's doing that certain thing and still getting rewarded the same as you, then it's like, then what am I working hard for? So then it creates a bad habit for you, not realizing that it is, and it's kind of like starts to hinder you more so, not just at that place or area, or even if family, like you said, family, business, everything like that, it takes effect of everything else. So, and this is one thing I was thinking about earlier. It's like, I'm big on energy, and I don't really tend to do well if my energy's off. And so once I get affected by that, and this is something that I need to work on personally. It's just like holding in on my personal energy, because once I'm off, I'm off. And I don't like giving people energy like that because I feel like it's not right. And it's kind of like back to what we was talking about, the standard that you hold yourself to is like, okay, I can easily not hold myself to that standard, not feel bad about giving people off on my bad energy rather than like holding in to that energy, switching it around and giving good energy out. Cause I always want to give good energy out. But if I have better energy, it's like I don't feel right about giving it to others. Some people don't feel that way. And so, like I said, you can have someone doing this certain thing, still getting the same reward as you, then you're in a negative feeling because okay, they're working 10 times less hard as you, but they're still getting the same result. And that doesn't sit right with you. It might sit right with them because they don't care. You, on the
Right.
other hand, care.
Yeah.
And so it just makes you feel some type of way because the standard itself isn't being held to that person as it is to you. And I hate when that happens because it's kind of like how you said, like as a manager or something like that, or a CEO, or they tend to see you producing more. So then they expect more from you, but then the other
Yeah.
person don't expect anything from.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that. I don't feel like that's right. And so I was telling my wife earlier, it's like there's a guy that I follow too. He like owns his own businesses, and the way he pays his employees out, obviously it's not all about the money, but the way he pays his employees out is based off value, and he gives them what they're worth. And so earlier it's kind of like if you're making a good salary and you deserve that salary, you cannot get mad at someone who else is making a bigger salary than you. They just might be giving more value. That's not in a negative way. That's in what their value they're giving. So if you want more, give more. And so it's to the point where I looked at it in a way to like that's something I want to do. Like if I were to be once in a lifetime or one time in my lifetime to be a CEO of something, whatever it is, and I have employees, I want to pay them what they're worth.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like goes back to the standard of what you see in today's society. You have CEO, you have whoever's over the company or any company, they only give you what they think you want instead of like giving you the standard of value that you actually bring in them. Because I think we talked about this a while back, because if you as the employee don't ever show up, they don't get paid anyways.
Yeah.
And I don't think they see it like that. Yes, you need the money because you're trying to provide for your family, but there's all other places that you can go to. Money, there's endless amounts of money everywhere. And like I said, it just whatever you want to do with it, hold yourself to that standard.
Yeah.
Because if you aren't, who is? Basically. And
Yeah.
that's my kind of take on it. I can go different set, but I just want to, go back and forth with it. But
Yeah, for sure. I agree, man. And I feel like just like hold yourself to that standard because at the end of the day, in the marketplace, we shouldn't judge anybody, right? But the reality is people are judging your work. Like if you giving piss poor effort, it's affecting so many other things because really it's affecting your credibility with your team and the people around you. It's affecting your reliability. Like people not really trusting you. You know what I'm saying? You don't even trust yourself. And then this is my thing. It's like when I see a person's potential and they're not even trying, I think that's what bothers me the most. It's like you're not even trying, and you can give a person. It's like the saying of you can take the person to the water, but you can't make them drink. Like you can give a person all the tools in the world or whatever to help them, but
I'm sorry.
no, you good. You can't,
I'm
but you
sorry.
can't.
They're just being crazy outside.
I know you good. But no, you can't make them grasp or you can't make them study the information or retain the information. Like I can give you all the tools, but if you choose not to look at the tools or dig into the tools, that's on you. And I think sometimes a lot of time people are expecting people just to give them answers and they're not wanting to seek for anything themselves. And it's like, yeah, you have mentorship and people are going to give you, answers to certain things, but it's like you also have to seek for yourself as well and show that you kind of going back to showing that you care. But I
yeah,
just
just pause you on that too. It kind of I want to butt in because that
no, go ahead.
outside that just put another thought in my head, and it's obviously it's a Saturday. We're recording this on a Saturday. When we talk about standard, we don't have to record this on a Saturday.
Right. Thanks.
That out there is what we could be doing, but the
Mhm.
standard is to give you value.
Yeah.
That is just my 2 cents right there, because I was like, okay, they're acting nonsense outside on a Saturday. Obviously, it's Saturday. You can have fun with your Saturdays. I'm not saying anything about not having fun on a Saturday. Don't get me wrong, whoever's viewing this. I'm saying if you want something in life, if you have a standard in life, you have to abide by that standard. You can't just say, okay, it's Saturday, I'll work the next so odd days. 9 times out of 10, you don't. And
Yeah.
so Saturday comes around, you're like, okay, where I didn't work that hard that day, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but still, it's Saturday. I can enjoy it. I'll come back again and try it next week. No, you won't. And it creates a cycle. And
Mhm.
so the standard of yourself, you have to look at it as you're on your own boss, because if you don't, and I forgot how this saying went. Um, basically, the best way I can like basically explain it was, if you have a job, say you have to show up at your job at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Say if you're sick, but you had no sick time, or say if you're sick or not sick and you don't feel bad, but you know you can still make it. You're thinking about, okay, if I miss, I don't have no time to use, but I know I can make it. So you're trying your best effort to make it.
Mhm.
Why don't you do that to your own personal stuff?
Man, say it again, James,
So
because
why don't you do that to your own personal stuff? Okay, I might have a headache today, but I know I can make a little bit of effort. I can give an hour of effort.
yeah.
But then it's like, is a headache gonna be that worse? Not just give an hour effort. It's better than nothing. But if you had to work, you have a headache, but you know you can make it to work, you'll much rather make it to work than actually work on your own stuff. And
Mhm.
that's what I don't get.
Me either, bro. It's I don't know. I don't understand it. It can be agitating at times because it's like we give our jobs more weight. It's not saying, now, hear me good. I'm not sitting here say don't give, because sometimes, especially our generation, we take that and we like, oh, don't give our job no effort. Oh, just have the mentality that I'm here for the check and that's it. That's not what I'm saying. Give your job good standard, good effort, but have a good standard at your job and give it good effort. But also make sure, damn sure, make sure you're doing it to your own stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not going to move if you don't. Because if every time that something comes up or every time something happens and I don't push myself through, I'm just setting that standard for anything else, and it makes me prone to other people's excuse. So I can't even assist them. Let's say you're someone that's you uh God has a purpose for you of coaching or helping or whatever, mentoring other people. You can't help anybody else past their own obstacles if you don't get past your own. So if I stop every time I got a head, like you were saying, I got a headache. Oh, I got a cough. You gotta push through. Sometimes I feel like we're being tested just to see if we're gonna push through. We make, sometimes our generation make every sick thing life and death. It ain't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's be real. It's people pushing through every day that got worse stuff going on than what some of us are complaining about, and we're not even giving a little bit of effort to it. And I feel like you got to give effort to your stuff, because if not, how is it going to grow? Like, yeah, God is going to do his part, but we also have to participate, I believe. So yeah, that's
Use
kind of,
use a scenario too. I want you guys to think about the scenario. I'm sure everybody has done this at least once. If you have and you haven't, I think you're lying, but I could be wrong. But say you had your job and you woke up late. You're jumping out of bed, ain't you?
Yeah. Oh,
So yeah, exactly. So think of it like that. Okay, you're late to your business, so
mhm.
jump out of freaking bed.
Yeah.
It's the same scenario. It's just you're not. That's why I think the whole problem with that is like we have to first you got to get the mindset of it. But
That's major.
primarily, it's like if you don't make it to your job because you're late, you're not getting paid. You know that. But when you are late to your business, you never know by day if you're getting paid. So I think that's the difference, because you have to still consider it as, okay, if I don't show up to my job, I'm not getting paid. But use that same scenario with your business, because if I don't show up to my business, I'm not getting paid. Just think of it like that, because regardless of what it is, whether you get paid now or later, you still got to wait those 2 weeks anyways for a paycheck. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
What if they didn't give you the paycheck? What if they didn't give you the opportunity business wise? What if they didn't give you the person you needed to connect to that day? What if they didn't give you, um, that one time you just drove to the gas station, and then that was that one person that blew up your business? What would that be? And that's why when I said earlier, it's like if I'm in a bad state, or if I'm in a bad, just energy is not good, then to 9 times out of 10, I'm not expecting that to happen. But you never know. That's why you have to show up every single day in the right, mindset, because every day you never know what can happen. And so that one day that you could be off could be the day for you. And that one day that's not for you, you still have to be in the right mindset, because it could be for somebody else. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think you might have said it earlier. It's like it's not necessarily, you're not doing it, and I could be wrong, but basically you're not doing it just only for you. You're doing it for the next person, because you never know who's going to show up, or you never know who's going to message you, or you might message somebody and never know how they've been, or you just never really know. And so when I was talking about you earlier, it's like you're always getting into people's dramas that you don't necessarily want to be in, because that can affect your energy as well, because you want to help people. Like you said earlier, you basically you want to help people, but if they don't want to put in the effort to help themselves, it's kind of like you beating around the bush trying to help somebody that don't want to be helped. Or if you see somebody's potential, but they don't want to, move forward to it, then what's the point of their potential? You're never going to escalate it, because they don't really want it. And so that standard that they have for themselves isn't the same standard that you might see there for them, but it's kind of backwards. And I don't really know how the best way to explain it, but you can always tell somebody has potential, but if they can't see it for themselves, it's kind of like, should you push them or should you not push them, or how you go around that? And that's just the question you have to ask yourself every day.
Since you brought up that question, bro, what's your thoughts on that?
Me personally, I think, I'm trying to say how it makes sense. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think personally, if you hold yourself to a standard, I think you're either going to keep that person or lose that person. And if you want a higher standard for yourself, I don't believe in, this is a word, I don't know, devaluing yourself in order to meet their level. And I guess you could say it's not really, you're helping them, but they're not helping them.
Yeah.
Because you're helping them in a way because you're increasing your value, but you're not helping them because you're not trying to push them to their potential. Only meaning that in a way because you're trying to get a higher standard. And if they don't want to reach that, and you're trying to help them reach that, but they don't want it like that as bad as you do, then you're only slowing down your process. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but because it's like you're say for instance, like you're on a pathway here, and they're still right here. And so now you're trying to crawl backwards to pull them back up.
Mm.
And it's like an endless cycle, because every time you get ahead, all they do is go backwards, because it's kind of like, it's like a loose string. You got to go right back, pull them right back up to you, just because you feel like you feel obligated to keep them there. And so now you move forward again, but then you got to come all the way back, because they went reverted right back. You got to come all the way back, bring them back to where you're at, so that you're getting them farther, but they're not keeping that.
Mm.
So you're bringing them with you, yes, but then it's kind of like they're quitting every time.
Yeah.
So then every time they quit, you're trying to pull them right back. So that's what basically, that's the best way I can explain it. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but it's kind of like,
yeah, all of it makes sense. Now keep going, bro. Yeah, it makes sense.
I was just saying, like, it's like you're in an endless pool. So eventually you're going to get tired of it. And as a person, that's why I just don't believe in, like, okay, if you want to work on yourself every single day, I feel like people should do that. But if the person doesn't want to work on themselves, you can't constantly just, like, feed them material that 9 times out of 10 they ain't gonna watch. 9 times out of 10 they ain't gonna listen to it. And it's kind of like, this can help you, I'll send it to you. But then it's kind of like, okay, me sending it to you, what I actually, we used to do that, actually. Now I'm speaking on you. You used to do that. You used to send stuff, and then we had a topic over. This is kind of getting off subject, but
no, go ahead, bro.
We used to discuss it. We used to actually discuss it, and I think that's we can do that again too. Is sending material out to people if they really want it like that, and then and feel free. I'm talking to people viewing this. Feel free if you want to be included in that, because at the same time, if you want to work on your mindset, I feel like you need to work on your mindset, because that's just life in general. If you don't work on your mindset, you're not gonna get better. Yeah. But we used to send out material, and then we would discuss it after viewing it. What did you learn from it? What you thought best about it? What everything like that. That's what we would discuss. I mean, you actually watched it. You actually learned something from it. And so it holds you accountable, instead of just saying, okay, or just like not watching it, and then we come up to the time that we need to discuss it, then you had to go watch it anyways. So I think that's it's kind of like what you call a book club in a way, but you're just watching material on how to learn how to get better. And I think doing that, it helps people get better. So like I said, the viewers out there watching this, if you want to be a part of that, you can always comment below. We'll hook you up. But at the same time, you have to be willing in order to, you have to be willing yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta be willing to do so, because if not, we just not about to continue to invest that time. And I think that's where we're at now as leaders, is just like and thanks, bro, for sharing all of those gems. Those a lot of gems, and I'm sure it helped a lot of people, a lot of viewers that's listening, whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, mom, dad, sister, brother, it doesn't matter. That content, that value you just added just was awesome. It was confirmation for me too. And it's been something, I just been hearing that was just like that icing on the cake confirmation of what you just said. Because it's important, because sometimes sometimes the best thing to do to help a person is to let go. Because if not, you will continuously drain yourself too, like you were saying. And because you'll eventually get tired of it, and it can be draining. It can be draining where you see somebody's potential and you want the best for them, but it's like a tug of war. And I'm just, I feel like if people that want to grow, you got to be hungry. I want to work with the hungry. I realize that I want to work with people that want change. I want to work with people that they want to grow with or without me. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like you want to grow
for sure.
You want to grow, and I think sometimes people don't realize, because it sound good, but people don't realize what it really takes, what it really looks like. And even just being a business owner, going to entrepreneurship, it sounds good, but then when people don't really realize what it takes, like how the examples that you were giving with just if the job and having your own business, and you jump in for the job, but you ain't putting the same type of effort or doing the same type of thing for your own business or your own thing. And a lot of times people don't realize. So if you're a new business owner or entrepreneur, understand, first of all, you got to work harder on yourself than you do your job. But understand, you got to give your business the same effort, if not more, than you do your job. Because with your job, you have some level of accountability, right? When you start a business or start out being an entrepreneur, it's almost like in the beginning, you're holding yourself accountable. It's up to you whether it moves or whether, whatever happens. At your job, you got someone you got to report to somebody and clock in and do all this stuff. And you got a set pay that's coming in. Right. And it goes back to what James was talking about earlier about, imagine if you, just like at a job, what if you imagine that same type of structure, but imagine that same thing is going on behind the scenes with your business. You just can't see it, and you're not going to see that right away. And I think that's what a lot of times what detours people or get people off course is like, okay, you can be going through some stuff. You can be dealing with some stuff. You may be sick, whatever. And you still showing up for your job, still showing up, but you don't do that same thing for your business. And that we got to reframe our mind on that. And I think it goes back to what you were saying, James, about the mindset. We have to grow in that area because a lot of it has to do with just mental blocks. And that's why being intentional with your growth is so important. And yes, I'm down to get back into doing what we were doing, because that was a level of accountability that we was holding each other to, and we were growing. And so viewers, listeners, if you want to, like James said, want to participate, definitely let us know. We'll plug you into that as well. But yeah, bro, man, thank you for that. Thank you for just saying, for allowing God to speak through you, bro, like for real. Because I know for me, sometimes I'm gonna just be transparent. I was a people pleaser, and I'm still breaking free of that.
No, I'm still breaking through a lot of things myself. Like it ain't easy. I will say that it ain't easy. So it's just it's literally a no days off type deal, because you gonna get hit with everything. And that's why I was like, the whole mindset deal is it's more powerful than people think.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I personally think it's more so like life or death, honestly, because it's kind of like you are challenged with a lot of stuff daily. And it's if you don't know how to react to it, and we all don't know how to react to it, that's the problem. Because regardless if you say you do or not, it's like you still have challenges that you still have that will hit you that you aren't aware of or you don't know how to adapt to. And so that's why I say you have to always kind of like work on yourself. And I'm not perfect. No one's really perfect. But if you, I get self-awareness, and I think you made a talk about that too. It's like self-awareness is key too, because in the areas that you react a certain way to in a negative way, that's the key areas that you need to work on. And so I would personally say on a day-to-day basis, if something happens, how do you react to it? Do you react positively or do you react negatively? And if you react negatively, then okay, either write it down, take a note on it, get on YouTube, figure out some videos you need to watch about how to adapt or how to cope or how to, function around that same feeling, and just study it.
Yeah.
It's like, pick you 5 videos out and study it. That's the only way you can get better. But you have to, like we've been talking about, you have to put the time out in order to do it. Because if you don't allocate time to it, then how are you going to get better in that situation? And it's not going to just happen in a week. You got to. I've been having the same struggle freaking for years, and I'm still not figured it out. It's like you still have to constantly figure it out. Like it's not going to happen overnight to where like this light just went out, blah blah blah, and I got pissed off about it. Okay, I'm gonna figure out some stuff about why I acted towards this way. Do that. Light goes out tomorrow. You ain't gonna be like, oh, light went out. No problem. you ain't gonna just act like that. It's not possible.
Right.
So you gotta constantly work on it. It's just not gonna be something simple like that. Like you can't just say, "Oh, my tire went flat," and I'm pissed off about it. And then your tire went flat again the next day. And it's like, okay, my tire went flat. What can I do now? Like, you're just not gonna do that. It's not gonna happen. So stop thinking. It's just like people think about getting like rich quick stuff. It's like it's not possible. It's irrelevant to whatever you're trying to do. It's not relevant to the times. It's like you just have to be patient with stuff. And it's hard. Yeah. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. It's hard. And so that's why I said just working on yourself daily is really a no days off type deal.
Yeah. And that is true, man. Yeah, bro. It's not easy. And the key to that too, along with carving out the intentional time, then you gotta, what you grasp, you gotta apply it. So it's both learning it and applying it, and just knowing that you're gonna mess up and ain't gonna, like James said, you ain't next day gonna be like, all right. I know what to do now.
Yeah.
Like, you
Mr. Save-A-Lot, you turn to Superman. Like, no.
And you may, the emotions may still creep up, but you at least know, what to apply. You can start practicing it then, because God gonna give you the field to practice. So just know that. That. Yeah. But yeah, bro, man, this was a great episode. Anything else on your mind that you want to talk on, or anything that you want to share with the viewers and listeners before we hop off?
I just say, man, if y'all want to be involved with this, getting your mind right, just being in a daily group of whatever it might be. Say if a topic pops up in somebody's head and they want to share it, if you want to be a part of that, just comment below or hit us one of us up, and then just let us know. That's all I want to really say.
Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. It is Jamie and James. Man, yeah, Growth Talk episode 14. We out.